A couple of weeks ago, I was on a plane and I was headed to Dallas for a conference. And so as I'm on this plane headed to Dallas for this conference, everybody kind of freaks out, right? At a certain moment, because a gentleman 2 seats up from me, he starts to have a heart attack. And so everybody kind of starts shuffling around, switching seats. They come over the intercom. Is there any, physicians on the plane? Can you come up, help us out? So people started moving around, and so they come to me and they say, hey, Mr. Johnson, would you mind giving up your seat so a physician can get here? I'm like, great, yeah, sure. So I get up, and so for a minute, everything was all cool and all good, and the pilot comes over the intercom and he says, I'm sure you all are aware of what's transpiring and happening. Everybody kind of shakes their head, yeah. And he said, because the gentleman is having a heart attack, we have to make an emergency landing. And people were peed off. Started moaning and groaning. Oh, man, really? And I'm like, man, God's about to die. Like, he can't stop. I'm like, I get it. People got things to do, places to be, and people to see. I get it. But somebody's life is on the line here. And when I thought to myself, when they landed the plane, I said, man, is that where we've gotten to as a society, to where a destination is more important than another individual's life? Is that where we've gotten to as a society, that goals, dreams, and aspiration is more important than another individual's life? Meaning that interactions with people now, we say, hey, how you doing? But we don't really mean, hey, how you doing? Meaning that interactions are totally off course in terms of seeing an individual through the lenses of something different and seeing them as, this is a person's soul that I have the opportunity to impact instead of bypass, and so my destination is more important than this individual. And so they were moaning and groaning, not about the guy having a heart attack and he's fighting for his life and we got to stop to get him help. They were moaning and groaning because where they were going, they couldn't get there in the manner and the fashion of which they wanted to get there. And when I think about life, I think more times than not, I say, man, what is it, right? What is it that shifts the individual? And a lot of times when I think about it, I think at the core of what it is the transaction. And when I say the transaction, it's when you give something a certain amount of energy, a certain amount of passion, a certain amount of dedication and commitment to a certain thing, and you expect something from that certain thing, and you don't get what you expected. The transaction is the problem. Meaning, like, if you're in a marriage and you come in and you're dedicated, you're cleaning, you're cooking, you're washing clothes, and then you don't get the appreciation that you thought you were gonna get, sooner or later, it's gonna be a problem. And I think more times than not, in life, people treat God like a Santa Claus. And then when they don't get the gifts that they thought they were gonna get, it's a problem. Like, I'm a firm believer that God redirects and maneuvers us when he has us on a mission, right? And in the redirection, I think true courage is the ability to embrace what we don't understand. Because I know anybody can accept and embrace something that they do understand and that they know the end result. But I think true courage is when you find yourself in the midst of an opposition, piece of adversity, or situation, and when you're in the midst of it, you're thinking, man, how did this happen and how did I get here? But you still have a certain level of perspective to say, even though I don't understand it, even though I don't like it, I can still trust God even though I can't trace God. And so when you speak about redirection, I'll never forget, like a couple days ago, you had the September 11th incident, terrible situation. A lot of people lost their lives, senseless act, right? And so I'll never forget, when I was at Tennessee, I was doing some research. I was in my master's program, and I was doing some research on the situation. And I remember watching a particular clip of the situation, and I'm watching things happen, watching a camera sway back and forth, watching people jump out of a building, run out of a building. And I read an article, and in this article, they spoke about people that lives were spared because of situations that happened and they were out of their control. And a lot of people didn't speak about it because a lot of people didn't know about it. So in turn, Pastor, they talked about this one gentleman that worked in one of the buildings. In that morning, I'll never forget, they said he was getting ready to leave home, and his wife came to him and said, hey, can you take our daughter to kindergarten today? And he responded, I really can't do it. I really need to get to work. And the wife says, can you please do it? I really need you to do this. I really need to get to work, is what he said. I really need to get to work. The wife responds again, please, can you take her to kindergarten? He accepted. And the timing of him taking his daughter to kindergarten, when the building got hit, because of that incident, things transpired with him and his daughter and his wife, and he couldn't make it in time, the time of which he thought he was going to make it, and because of that interaction, it spared his life. He couldn't control it. One gentleman, he got on the New Jersey Turnpike, headed to the same building on the New Jersey Turnpike. It was an accident. Something happened. It stopped, right? And because it stopped, and I'm sure he was on his way to work, and when it stopped, I'm sure he was fussing and he was mad as all get out. But he couldn't control the situation, and because he couldn't control the situation, his life was spared. One gentleman, they sent him to get some donuts or something. He went to get some donuts. He's coming out of the building. Somebody spills coffee on his shirt. He has to go home to change his shirt, and because of a situation that happened, him going home to change his shirt, it spared his life. One gentleman got a new pair of shoes, walking down the sidewalk, started to get blisters on his feet, had to go back home, change his shoes. Because he had to change his shoes, spared his life. Situations that happened that was out of their control, and when you think about when things happen, the first thing we try to do as individuals, how can I control it and how can I manage it? And if I can't control it and manage it, now I'm frustrated and I'm mad about it. In the words of an older gentleman, he told me one day, he said, young man, you can't speed up the river and you can't slow it down. At a certain point, you gotta have some faith. How many times do we get redirected and we don't know what we're being protected from and we're fussing and we're mad about it? Like, it's an amazing thing. Now when things happen, my perspective is totally different. Like when I'm in the airport and my flight get delayed and people go to fussing and I see them getting mad, and you know, you could be by them and they're getting mad and you almost get mad, and I'm like, I gotta walk off. They're about to make me mad, right? But when I walk off, I'm like, God, what are you protecting me from? Like when situations happen now, I'm like, life, what are you trying to teach me right now? Like, God, what can I extract from this situation since I don't like it and I don't understand it? I'm sure lessons and blessings, stages and phases, I'm sure it's something in it that I can extract and apply to some area of my life. James chapter 1, consider it pure joy, my brothers and sisters, when you face trials of many kind, because the testing of your faith goes on to produce perseverance, and perseverance must finish its race so that you may be complete and lacking nothing. In other words, we got to go through something in order to become the individuals that God wants us to become. So redirection, bring it. Opposition, bring it. Not saying that every day I wake up, I'm like, adversity hit me. No. No. But when it comes, I look at it different. Like I ask people one question all the time. I'm like, what is it you want? Like, what do you want? People, oh, I want money. I'm like, cool, all right, yep. I'm like, but the true measure of your wealth is if you got it and you lost it, then how much would you be worth? I mean, how much is your character and your integrity worth? Because that's the most valuable possession that we got. And the thing I love about character, every individual in here, when we were born into our respective hospitals, nobody came into our room and said, hey man, you automatically inherit character. It's something that we got to fight and we got to build it every single, it's just like the Christian walk, the journey. You got to fight and you got to build it every single day, and it's a big difference between professing to be a Christian and actually living as a Christian. And so in my life, right, the biggest redirection, of course, came in 2006, right? But at every phase of my life, I got redirected, but God also maneuvered me, right? And like I said before, I think when God has you on a mission, right, God will maneuver you through certain situations, and even when you can't stand it or understand it, God will still maneuver you to get you to the destination that he's trying to get you to. And I used to wonder as a kid, like, man, why am I growing up in this certain environment and I'm not getting touched? Like I'm coming up in an environment where people are getting murdered. I'm coming up in an environment where they call that Little Vietnam. I'm coming up in an environment where people are doing drugs, people doing everything. I'm coming up in an environment where I got robbed, right? But nothing happened to me. And I'm coming up in this environment in this 2-bedroom home with 14 people. And at every phase of my life, God sent somebody. And when he sent them, the only difference between me and some of my friends that I grew up around, when he sent them, I was smart enough to listen. In other words, young people, it takes 21 years to become 21. no matter how talented, how brilliant, how smart, and how powerful you are, it's just certain things you won't understand until you get experience in order to understand it. How when a person say they want something, or a person say, man, I'm gonna have this incredible, phenomenal life, and the only thing it takes is for the circumstance to change. And when the circumstance change, they forget everything that they once spoke, or everything they once spoke now means nothing to them, right? The words that they spoke about a certain situation. I'm intrigued by that, right? How a circumstance can take that away. Like, I understand this about life. In life, people don't burn out because of what they do. People burn out because life makes them forget why they do it. But when the purpose is intact, when the mission is intact, when it's about something greater than themselves, the opposition, the adversity, and the challenges are a part of the journey. When things happen, a redirection, it's a part of the journey. It makes it even sweeter in the end when the purpose is greater and about something greater than you. That's why it's so easy to spot selfish people. That's why it's so easy to spot people that's just out for their personal gain. It's easy because all it takes is for something not to go the way that they thought it was going to go, and now they no longer want it. But when you find a warrior for Christ, when something doesn't go the way that they want it to go, they say, let's regroup, let's reroute, and let's get going. Let's finish what we started. The mission is different.